Hi, it's Diana. um, I want to give a shout out first of all to my husband Earl. He fixed me delicious dinner last night, and he made pork chops, green beans, and carrots. It tastes awesome too. See, we had less in our lives, so this was grand for us. But today's my topic I'm going to talk about is my demon stepdad. he was he was born in 1927. He had four names, um, and but he was he was a not Vietnam, but he was a World War II veteran. Short tempered. He had an art. He had a redone nose because he was in 1940s car that had a suicide knob, and when he was in a wreck, that's wheels that steering wheel spun and took his nose completely off, and they had to rebuild it, and they took a skin graft off his thigh, so it's real tender on his nose, and that came in handy with my PTSD moment. So that will be in the second video on how his demise and my PTSD moment. But anyways, um, my mom met him 3 weeks prior to New Year's Eve. New Year's Eve night, they got married at midnight, and she was supposed to, and she had three of us children. My sister was 6 months. Let's see, she was 8 months old at the time. I was 2 years, 2 months at the time, and my brother was 4 years, 2 months at the time when they got married. My stepdad believed that my mom made him believe that he was going to give his kids back to my dad. But my dad wouldn't want us. See, they were still early in their 20s, mid 20, early mid, about mid 20s. But her husband said, her husband was 4 years older than her second husband. So he was much older, a little bit at that time. It's much older. He was 29, like when she was 25. But we don't know if that's the age they got married. They got married. But anyways, but when my dad, when I went to visit him for the first time, I was 22, and I had already a 5-year-old son. And he drove me by after he picked me up from the bus depot, him and Tom, my son, and he drove me by the church, a Presbyterian church. And he goes, "Do you see this gated community here?" And I said, "Yeah." And he says, if I had won you in the, he goes, "This is a foster community. So this is a Presbyterian foster family community. That is where I would have put you if I had gotten custody of you." This is the first time I met my dad. I didn't have any phone conferences or anything with that man beforehand. I don't know this guy. I was going down there for the first time to meet him. And when I got down there, every time, I only visited him like 6 times. When he said that to me the first time, going down there, I really didn't have a hankering to go visit him anymore, but I did. I have a sister and two brothers down there, but we weren't close. They identified me as a stepsister, in which they did at my dad's funeral. So I did go down there. He was way up there in the 30 something. Well, he way up there in the hierarchy in the Masonic lodge, and so he had a Masonic funeral too. But they referred me as a stepsister, and they it was just a mess down there, so I don't want to deal with that, you know. But anyways, my stepdad came into the picture when I was 2 months, 2 years, 2 years, 2 months old. And he and mom didn't give us back. She promised, but she didn't give us back. So he hated us. He really did. Mom got pregnant right away again. Right? It's my brother was born 9 months, 9 days later after they got married. And 11 months after that, my little sister was born. So two of them were really close together, 11 months apart, and they hated each other. Really, they were rivalries. They just hated each other. And so that wasn't a good thing in a family relationship to have two youngest siblings of the five that I was raised by. I was raised by my mom. I wasn't raised by my mom. I was living with my mom. That's more like it. And anyways, so there was, see, I got that ADHD, so I got short-term memory issues, so I get off track kind of easily. But I brought pictures. This is a picture of my, I might just try to cover that up a little bit. This is how old we were when we were, let me get that reflection off. Okay, can you see that? Okay, my sister was 8 months old. Well, no, she was a year old. This was Easter. This is the Easter picture right after they got married. And so she was a year old. I was 2.5. My brother was 4.5. Now, my stepdad, hit her so hard it sent her into the hospital when she was this young. She was in a coma for 6 weeks. She had to have 13 pints of blood put in her. I don't know where mom came up with the story that something in her tummy just didn't heal right, so she had to have 13 pints of blood pumped into her. But my great aunt Irene knew it was up, and she told my grandma, and she said, Ruth, that man's beating that girl. Grandma just couldn't believe it, just didn't want to believe it. But he was, because he knew she didn't have a daddy. And he would torment us, all three of us. This is the one that he beat every morning. He would beat her from this young of an age up until the time he left the house 9 years later. Almost 10 years later, he left the house. But he was beating all of us, but every morning it was her. And she did not have a memory for 8 years, her first 8 years of her life. She don't have a memory. And that is part of her PTSD. And her PTSD, she can snap on you. I've seen her switch on me. I just had to bring up Trump once about the elections, and she ain't voting for him, are you? I just mentioned it, babe. And this one here, he was, I call, born under a wandering star. From a very young age, started running away. My stepdad was especially cruel with him. He'd make us all sit at the closet to open it up in us girls' room, because all three of us girls shared the same room. I slept in my own bed, and Benny and Joy slept in the other one. And but that closet was shared by the boys and us, because it was just a single closet. It wasn't much, but it was piled high in there. He opened up that closet door. He made us sit on the floor, so while he opened up that closet door, and he opened up, and next thing you know it, he was yelling about what was going on in the closet, and he looked down at Donald, and he took his foot with his shoe, and he took and ground Donald's big toe into the floor. You're looking at a kid, just a small kid, no more than 19 years old, Donald was. And he grinded in the floor. That's how cruel this man was. Another time, I was on the top, on the bottom bunk, and Donald was on the top bunk. We only had 3 bunk beds. So some of the kids slept on the sofa sometimes, you know. And, but with Donald, he was so, he get mad. Mom just had to say the word, and he come barreling in and whip up on us. She liked it. She liked hearing it from the other room. See, that's the mentality she had from that building explosion when she was 17. Nobody thought about it, but now they have all this scientific study and everything. She had frontal lobe damage, and she was mean as shit, and she loved hearing the children cry. And so she think of the reason of something, some sort or another, but Donald was, he was whipping up on all of us kids and made us go to bedroom. And then Donald wasn't climbing up on that top bunk fast enough when he grabbed Donald and threw him up on that top bunk. And when he left and Donald screamed, I'm on the bottom bunk and I'm hearing the sea. Mom had 5.5 years, 5 children within 5.5 years. So we're terrified. All of us kids are terrified when he lost his temperament. And he made us, so he threw my brother over the top bunk and he screamed. I heard a thud and heard him scream, and he walked out of the room. And when he walked out of the room, I looked over the bunk and I seen the bowl-shaped hole in the wall where my brother's head had hit the wall. And so when my brother became an adult, he was a wandering star. See, I don't know if that man sexually abused him or not, but when you're young and you know things, you know, like kids shouldn't, you know, because I talk to my brothers and I go, they don't tell me what had happened to them, but when they tell me what they done in their lifetime, and I go, oh, geez, that man attacked you too. And I can't say both of them. I can only say about the older one, because we were the unliked ones. See, that was his son, the second son. The first son, I mean, my brother and I are from the original marriage. But anyways, my stepdad started touching me when my brother, so he was 4.5 in this picture. Okay, 4.5 in this picture. Just imagine, 6 months later, my brother is going to kindergarten in Phoenix, Arizona, right after the 2 youngest ones were born. My sister, or the young, mom was pregnant with the youngest one, but she was working. Mom would work. And while she was working and during the day, he watches during the day. And that's when he first started orally touching me. And I remember that was a devastating time for me. When he got done, I went out the back door, went against the fence, the chain link fence, and I held it until my brother got home from school. I don't know why I thought he was going to save me, but just to have him there with me, maybe deterred it or something. I don't know. But that would go on 2 to 3 times or more a week for 9 years. For 9 years. I was 9 when he made me perform oral sex on him. That was the one and only time. And Mom was at work during the day, and I could tell you where he did it. We were at 2900 West 44th Avenue in Kansas City, Kansas. And that was really, that tore me up. I could not do that to any, I could never go down on a guy like, But those, but the brutality. My mom would tell my stepdad that one of us misbehaved. All it had to be was just one. He would march all five of us into that bedroom, and starting with the oldest, he just whoop. No, starting with the youngest. One swat. Second one, two swats. Joy, numerous countless swats. Diana and Donald, numerous countless swats with that belt. And it was a 2-inch cowboy belt. 2-inch cowboy belt. And that would go once, maybe twice a week. Mom had, I don't know why she did, I can't explain why these people were like that. But my brother wandered, and he became a transient. He traveled with the Rainbow Group. He went with, and he practiced the Bible while he traveled, but he couldn't stay in one place. He just had to leave, always leave. But he always knew he can come back to me. And about 2 years before he died, about a year before he died, 2 years before he died, he knew something was up. He came to me with his daughter, and I treated them so well. I always do when they come in town, and I make sure they're stocked up too. I don't let them go out that door without having plenty of things going out that door with them. And he explained to me that was the last time he was going to see me. And I understood, because a person like him, it's like a cat when they wander off when they die. And I knew something was wrong, because years before was staying at my grandmother's house. He got bit by a brown recluse under the sheets of the bed in the attic area where he would sleep. And they had an upstairs, an attic with doors right there, and he got bit, and that man would not go to the hospital. What he do? He got bit in the calf of the leg first, and it came up and bit him in the thigh, and he'd scrape his skin to keep it clean. Eventually, from the knee down, it was blue. It was blood clots. I know it was blood clots, and but that's not what killed him. They said when they did the autopsy, he died on the road in Arizona, and he honestly believed he was a Civil War Confederate, because we are daughters and sons of Civil War Confederates. Alabama. Of course, we got Yankees up here too. But my brother, he really believed he had Civil War. He was a Civil War veteran. He had the sign, Civil War veteran, please donate. He had duct tape on his boots where it cracked open along the bottoms. And what happened was, he was traveling. His daughter got his body and was able to donate his body. And they donated what they wanted, and they cremated. They gave her the cremation bag, and so she's got that. But he just couldn't handle it. And my sister with her, she didn't remember, but she had emotional issues. Very emotional. She's very emotional. And triggers. She had triggers. And her triggers were to make her emotional was having her children upset her. Anyway, that kind of emotional would get her upset. This was my sister. when my stepdad and all of them got married. We got married. I mean, they got married. Mom wore black and white. That's okay. I didn't give a rat's ass. It looked like she was going to a funeral anyway. And this is on my 50th birthday. And that's me on my 50th, 20 years ago. This is my brother. He was 52, and my sister was in her 40s. See, I was 50, she was 48. She was 47 because she'd be 48 and, later on. Her and my husband are 12 days apart from each other. I'm a cougar. From back then, that was a cougar. But anyways, she's the one that recently passed on, and this one died in 2015. And then my mom died in 2016. And I had uncles, and several uncles died during that since then too. And boy, people, life takes it away as much as it gives it. So my stepdad was pretty cruel to us. He, and I know he touched my little sister. My sister and I, we talked about everything. But now I'm going to get into the PTSD. Okay, so my PTSD didn't start until acting up until recently, and that's about 2 years ago when I'm dealing with. Oh, and I have another sister that died in 2020, about 2021, maybe 2020. Oh, 2021. And so I lost 3 siblings and a mom since 2000. Well, I didn't find out about my brother's death until mom died, and it was about a month later. So in 2006, since 2016, I've lost 3 siblings and my mom. Anyways, my stepdad, when I was a child, I'd have to be on a chair to wash dishes. Ever since I was a little bitty thing, we washed dishes. And we stayed in the shadows, So I went to go wash dishes, and I'm on a chair, and he comes up on the side of me, and he takes that electrical cord from the water. I didn't know it was in the water. It was from the mixer. I mean, the can opener or something. It was off to the side, but the cord had fallen into the water, and he shook it at me. And I thought he was going to backhand me because, I'm shaking it, and he's over here on me. No, he's shaking it. He's over here on me, and he's shaking it at me. And I just a little bitty kid, so I'm just in fear of my life that he was going to really knock me out on that one. Or, we were in fear of our death. Yeah. So that was stuck. I didn't know it was stuck in me that bad. And one week, about 4 months ago, I started sitting here in bed, and off to the side of me, I could see a hand shaking this electrical cord at me. And I'm like a third person seeing this little girl. I'm seeing that I'm this little girl, but I'm seeing this little girl sitting there having this cord shake. Seeing this cord shaking, and I go, oh, I'm thinking I'm this little girl, But it went on. It was just a brief moment, and every day that went by, the grown-up in me started taking over the little kid's body. And in the washer, I had a paring knife, and I stuck it in and eventually, each day, I started getting a little more in me. So it's got to the point where you SOB, how dare you brutalize this child like that? And that's how I felt on the final day. And in my dreams, This is still in my life. Like I'm in that world that he's right there shaking it. And I had that paring knife coming out of my hand like that. And I got it under the water. And he is shaking it. Now, the little girl was no longer there, but this grown up me was there. You SOB, how dare you treat this child like that? And I popped him in the nose. Because remember, his weak point is his nose. Popped him in the nose, and as he went, I went right up here with that. And then he took a step back. And as he stepped back, and kind of like sparkles, white sparkles he started disintegrating in the back, like white sparkles started pulling away from him, and suddenly went, and he was gone. That's how I conquered my PTSD moment with my stepdad. I mean it. That was a mean OSOB, but I can tell you that he's no bother to me now. And I can talk about what happened. A lot of folks aren't you ashamed what's going on, what happened in your life? No, it shows my strength, because without the strength, I would not have managed my life to break through this first cycle of abuse, to raise my children to be awesome, productive I've got awesome, productive family, and I'm so proud of each and every one of my husband, my children, my grandchildren. What more can I ask? You know what? This was the road I was sent on. And another thing, what gave me the strength to carry on was a moment that was really bad for me when I was a child. And hiding. I was hiding so that I wouldn't be one of them that was getting beaten on. And I was just curled up. And I don't know if I fell asleep or not, but I could tell you, suddenly I was walking with Jesus. You seen a meadow with wildflowers? It's just a meadow, and it's hilly, and not, and you got the breeze, and you can see it waving across the meadow and everything. And as I was walking towards the meadow, I was holding the hand of Jesus. And I felt so comforted. Oh, really? I met Jesus. I was holding his hand and like this, and I looked up, and he looked down and smiled at me. And it gave me the feeling I'm going to be okay. I'm going to be okay. And that's what pulled me through my life, because I didn't have anyone or anything else. And my Jesus, he came to me at times of need, and I relied on him ever since. And to this day, I've been praying every night, and I pray during the day. And I asked the good Lord, I said, Lord, there's so many religions out there, and they all believe they're going to heaven and not the other religion, or certain like races or sex are going to heaven but not the other. Well, that's what is the truth? What is the truth? And I said that in my nightly prayer, because I said, Lord, I'm so worried. I don't want all of these people be left behind. They're good people. And so I found it the next morning. I walked right into the bathroom, and there it was. It was my mom's keychain, just sitting there, and it said, love. You go to heaven because of love, and you give respect and love. And that's what, since you need to do that, it's all about it. If you look at the 10 Commandments, it's all about respect and love. And that is what my message is for all of you. That's my happy note. So you always got to end with a happy note. And mine was my visit with Jesus, and he's still with me. We're like this. We're friends. Y'all have a good one.